Kathy, could you call the roll?
Blakely.
Yes.
Gaspar.
Here.
Hodge.
Here.
Incasato.
Here.
Locke.
Here.
Here.
Jones.
Here. Mr. Hodge, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we're going live with our new Board Docs program, so we may fumble a little, but we will be great. Dr. Hitchens, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Dr. Mon, were we making that one change?
It would make sense to me.
Okay.
The intergovernmental agreement with the city of Batavia for the fuel, it's just minor revisions based on a price escalation, so we would recommend putting that in the consent agenda unless anyone had concerns that they wanted to raise.
Okay.
So the City of Batavia vehicle fueling facilities.
Would be moved to the consent
To
agenda?
consent.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Moved by Blakely, second by Gaspar. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Agenda is approved. Next, we'd like to move on to public comments. If anyone wishes to address the board this evening under public comments, we have collected pink forms that list our policy for addressing the board. When you are called forward, if you could please give us your name and address, because we keep a full set of minutes for, we're required by the state law to keep a full set of minutes. If you would prefer to provide comments for the entire board in written form, there is a blue form that we can provide for you, and Kathy will make sure that the entire board receives your comments. When you address the Board of Education or the administration will not enter into dialogue on any issues. Doesn't mean we don't take your issues seriously. If you have unanswered questions, a board member or an administrator will get back to you regarding your matter at a later date. If you have any props or visual aids that you'd like to use, please have them reviewed by Dr. Hitchens, our board elected secretary, prior to presenting to the board. Anyone that addresses the board, we ask you to come join us at the table so that the entire board can hear you. And Kathy, we have all the pink sheets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so at this point forward, anyone who would like to address the board, we're going to ask that you fill out a blue sheet and give it to Kathy Scafidi. The first person we'd like to ask forward this morning, or this evening, is Chris Varelli. Good evening.
Hi there. My name is Chris Varelli and I'm a Batavia taxpayer. Unfortunately, I'm one of the stupid people to whom Dr. Barshinger was referring to in his internal email to the board and administration. Since the board failed to act in the best interest of taxpayers by voting unanimously to increase the levy by an unprecedented 13%, I've been paying more attention to the board's process of allocating my tax dollars. After observing several of your meetings, I have learned a few things. One is that you most certainly have a difficult task of providing a safe, effective, and efficient learning environment for our children while considering the many diverse needs of our taxpayers. Another is that we have more wants and needs than we do resources. For example, at the February 8th meeting, you discussed the fact that our technology budget is below our peers' average, and we will need to invest in technology if we are to continue to provide quality education for our children. I agree. I can't help but wonder, however, why no one inquired regarding where we may be spending more than our peers. Would it not make sense to reduce spending in one area in order to allocate the funds to an area where they may be better served? Another thing I learned from attending your meetings is that we seem to be trying to satisfy the few at the expense of the many. During the same aforementioned meeting, you discussed the topic of online learning. I realize that if offered, the subject matter would be diverse. However, the only examples given were Japanese and Chinese language instruction. I don't know about the rest of the folks in this room, but if my child has a desire to speak Japanese or Chinese, I would not expect the Batavia Public School District to provide that instruction. I would expect to pay for that instruction out of my pocket because it is specialized and pertains to very few local students. I noticed that Ms. Dremel on 2 separate occasions commented on how the taxpayers want more favorable teacher-to-student ratios, yet we also want our tax bills lowered. Yes, that's exactly what we want. However, have you ever proposed a plan to make that happen? Have we benchmarked our teachers' compensation to ensure that it is in line with our peers? Have we force-ranked all of our programs to even consider discontinuing low-impact, high-cost services? Have we ever considered that we may be able to employ fewer administrators, specialists, and coaches, and hire more teachers? It seems to me that there is a pervasive tendency to spend by the board and administration. I urge you to adopt a culture of efficiency and accountability. I challenge you with the following. Number one, force rank all programs and identify the services with the highest cost per student ratio, as well as the lowest number of students benefited. Then discuss the ramifications of discontinuing the services that cost us the most and or benefit the few. Number two, identify areas to reduce spending prior to adding any new program, service, or equipment. Basically, cut a legacy dollar each time you want to add a new dollar to our budget. 3, benchmark our compensation budget to those of our peers. Enact a long-term plan to bring us below each of our peers in the areas of administrator to student ratio and average teacher compensation. Basically, what I am asking you to do is to be effective stewards of our children's education as well as our tax dollars. Begin to think of the school district operations as a business where there are ramifications to each dollar spent and capital deployed where it is most effective. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Next, Rose Gustafson, we'd like to invite you to the front. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Rose Gustafson. I live at 471 Kickapoo Avenue in Batavia. And I'm not really well prepared tonight, but I wanted to acknowledge and encourage the board. I took the time to attend the Finance Committee meeting today. And it was excellent discussion and great questions about all the items on the agenda. And I just wanted to encourage you to keep asking questions and think through all the issues and topics at hand. Thank you for thinking through the expenses of the proposed repairs to the shop and the track, not wanting to waste taxpayer money. And as concerns the athletic fields, your comments about leaning toward the public-private partnership is terrific as a funding plan. Mr. Stoops, you said that you would prefer not to use public funding, if I heard you right. Mrs. Impastato, you're confident that private funds would be available from donors. So I just wanted to say thanks, good meeting, keep asking questions, and I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The presidents and Mr. Investor's deal.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they should go before it.
All right. You know what? Next, we're going to invite the Grace McWayne PTO forward, please.
Surprise.
Give me a second.
Oh, sorry, Kath. They weren't on our agenda. But we're counting them under our Partners for Education. Hi, good evening. Do you want her to wait 1 second, Kath?
Give me 1 second, so I actually need to be.
That's good. I think she could start. I'll take notes.
Okay.
Oh, good.
We'll go ahead with that.
Hi.
I'm Sue McNamara from Grace McWayne. I'm the PTO president. Thank you for having me tonight. I just wanted to give a brief summary of our PTO fundraising for the last few years. We have fundraised to support, I'm glad I did my homework, because I was not expecting the camera, field trips, guided reading room materials, LRC electronic resources, the Watchdogs program, our outdoor education day, Battle of the Books, and assemblies for the entire school at different grade levels. Last year's goal setting included the level literacy intervention system, the RED system, which was higher than the blue that they were already utilizing, a printer for our LRC, the gymnasium sound system upgrades.
Yay!
I know, that works. Thank you, Mr. Modak. And vocabulary cards that support our Journeys program, and document cameras for every classroom. This year, we're also adding to our playground equipment, which includes a climber and a fun tunnel and its installation. We are adding mobile technology to that goes with our Chromebooks and an additional Chromebook charging cart. And we're hoping to soon order more seat sacks for our classrooms.
Awesome.
So
Thank
that's
you
it.
so much for what you do.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here from BESPA that would like to address the board tonight? Angel Balderas, please join us at the front. Joe Forcarrick's here tonight?
Pardon me?
I said, is Joe here tonight, or?
No,
Okay.
actually, my name is Angel Balderas. I do maintenance
Sue's
at
here.
Alice Gus. Oh, there's Sue. And I was hoping Sue would show up.
Looking desperately for someone back there. We weren't sure
Susan
who.
Carpenter. She is on our bargaining team, and she's secretary over at Grace McWayne, of course. I just wanted to speak just for a second, letting people know that BESPA pretty much hasn't been represented very well for the last 30 years, and starting with Sue and I, today we're going to change that. We've kind of taken upon ourselves, our team, to choose as many meetings as we possibly can so that there will be a representative here a lot more. We want BESPA to
Great.
be recognized for a change. For many, many years, it's kind of like been the, you know, redheaded stepchild.
Hey, no redheaded comments.
And,
I told you not to.
It's pretty much all going on for us. Sue?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we are getting together monthly now on the executive board and the building meeting as a whole, we're meeting monthly. And we talked about actually meeting with our individual people as building reps for just like 10 minutes every month as well. So we're real optimistic about
Great.
what the next year brings.
Good, great, excellent,
Great.
good to hear, thank you.
Thank you very
And we'll
much.
look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
And Tony Millay is not here, but Amy Biancheri is going to address the board tonight.
Some students here.
Hi, Amy.
Moral support. I'm Amy Biancheri. I'm the vice president of the BEA, and we wanted to first of all thank Lisa and Sue and John for attending the recent President's Superintendent's Forum that was hosted by Geneva this year, and we had a really, I thought, very informative speaker. His name was Ralph Martiri, and he is from the Center for Budget and Tax Accountability, which is a bipartisan group, and they had some really good information about, pension issues and getting the budget for the state of Illinois balanced and that sort of thing. And also just as an FYI, in case you did not know this already, the IEA just officially endorsed Republican Kirk Dillard for the gubernatorial primary.
I didn't know that.
And that's it.
Great, thanks,
Great.
Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
We would like to move on to celebrating our
Student
successes.
ambassadors.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was skipping right over you guys.
Because we
I'm
moved you
sorry.
up.
I know, I forgot. Student ambassadors.
Aren't they usually
Well,
We've moved them up. So
we're going to try to go quick,
We
but
can go
we're a little
home.
behind on focus group stuff, so we've got a bit to present.
we're always excited to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so we'll start with the basic stuff that we always kind of go through. So the Fine Arts Festival is going to be March 8th. It's a Friday at the Batavia Fine Arts Center from 7 to 9. There's going to be student art there, and then the Spectators, which is actually a band made up of former VHS students, will also be there playing, and the proceeds will go to Batavia Interfaith Food Pantry. So that's always important. Boys basketball won their senior night, so congratulations. And then girls basketball won their regional game, and they're playing tonight at 8. So hopefully, fingers crossed for them.
Other congratulations in the wrestling world. Connor McKeon was the wrestler we sent to the state series, and he made it to the Elite 8. Did very well, and also had the second most wins in the school history, so it's a big difference of how difficult that is. The swing singers placed third of their competition over the weekend, and last but not least, our Teens for Jeans fundraiser is ending tomorrow, and anybody who wants to know, you bring in a pair of jeans, you get 25% off at another pair at Apostle in all sizes.
So if you guys have jeans that you want to drop off or give to your kids to drop off, that still counts. So mom's jeans, little sister's jeans. Okay, so way back in October, we did a meeting on the music seasons, and because of life, we just haven't had a chance to present that yet. So we kind of found like a couple major themes. One of them was that students wanted the musical that's normally in the fall to be moved to the spring because the people who do marching band, they have a lot of talent that they can't do both. So moving it to the spring gives those musically gifted kids a little bit more of an opportunity. Some ideas were chamber orchestra, which is apparently a long season, which I did not know about. They want to split that into maybe 2 seasons, spring and fall, so that some kids could have more options if they want to do the fall play or if they want to play a winter sport or something. There's more versatility, I'm sorry. The other thing was auditions for the fall play and the musical should be held in the spring or earlier. So again, with some of the sports, like cut sports or with the fall musical, where there's going to be some people that don't get in, just giving them as much opportunity. If you don't get into the musical, then you can maybe try out for the golf team or vice versa. So just working on balancing that, which I think they're already working towards anyways. But those were the major themes from that one.
Okay, our more recent focus group was on the new scheduling we kind of have for this year, course ideas, and the new automatic placement system that students get with their courses. In regards to scheduling winter break, moving finals before was a unanimous yes. We took a hand raising of how many kids actually studied over winter break, and we got 0. So any kind of argument in that direction that they have more time to prepare is kind of out the window. Before break is definitely the better option. We had more people lean toward a full week of Thanksgiving, even if it meant starting school earlier. The course requests, we have a few new ideas. We're still in large favor of sign language. That seems to be most popular. We've asked a few times, and it comes up each and every one. More so than anything else, standard foreign language options, maybe I've heard German come up, right? Yeah.
They're all over the place.
Those are kind of everywhere. We had an interesting one for a theater class that follows the initial intro, but is not necessarily independent study, because we have a wide range of experience at our school, and students feel like going right from the intro straight, deep into the independent study. Some almost feel like they can't because they would be lost. So they're kind of looking for a middle ground between the two to come after intro to theater arts. Last but not least, the course placement. Most in general were happy with it. The one concern was, I think we had to quote here, don't we?
I think it was something like, I got placed into AP chemistry, but I have the work ethic of a 3rd grader.
So that was the one issue we kind of had. Right, even though intelligence test scores might be high, students might not necessarily have the drive to be in and succeed in that AP course. We got to a general consensus. They understand why they're being put in those courses, and it's to push them to their maximum potential. And it was actually very mature of them. They understood that even if they might not have the work ethic, they understood that they had the ability to do well in class, that they understand why they were put in it. And this understanding kind of made the want for appeals much less, because they knew they could handle it.
I mean, as far as the one thing with honors, some people were being placed in 4 or 5 honors or AP, and they felt like it wasn't that they couldn't handle the class material, it was the workload. So some people brought up maybe maxing out the number of recommended honors or AP classes to like 3, and just that last one or that last 2 maybe you wouldn't have to do an appeals process for, just because the workload does get pretty good. I know I'm taking 3 right now, and it's a lot of work. So that was the only thing that people were worried about, is not that they couldn't handle the class, but it was just the amount of homework on top of all their extracurriculars.
Right, so they're willing to be pushed to a certain point, but then maybe given, if they want to pursue that extra 1 or 2 AP classes, great. Let them, that's what they want to do, and what they want to accomplish. If they don't necessarily, maybe not be pushed so far into, right, now I can focus on it.
Right.
So not every senior second semester wants to take 3 AP courses, Megan?
Yeah, apparently not. Go figure.
I don't understand it. Thank you, that's really good information. Any questions for them? Okay, now we're moving on to celebrating our successes. As you can tell, it's always my favorite part to hear what we're doing. We'd like to invite Mr. Cotero and Jake Livingston forward to talk about the Illinois High School Theater Festival.
Say something funny.
Well, I want to say I feel a little like a hypocrite coming to the table to talk about improvisation with prepared speaking.
Yeah, right.
Where are the lights?
All right. So improvisation is a word that has been thrown around our society without really knowing what it is. It's more than just a party game or people getting up in front of others and making them laugh. In essence, the fundamentals of improvisation are traits we would all love to send students forward into the world possessing. They are traits every employer looks for when hiring a successful candidate. The fundamentals include respect for everyone's ideas, the ability to take risks, listening with all of our senses, putting the welfare of the group or team ahead of the self, and thus making the group shine and not any individual member. Now, when all these qualities and a few more are put together, the product tends to be funny. But that is not the intent of improvisation. The intent is to master the aforementioned skills and open the door to allow whatever product might present itself into the space. I'm proud that we have an improv troupe, but seriously, folks, and that we can build these traits within our students. Our improv troupe is in its 2nd year, and next to me is Jacob, who was one of the first members in the troupe. This past January, Jacob auditioned for the improv troupe at the Illinois Theater Festival. Somewhere between 100 and 200 students auditioned for the troupe, and Jacob was one of 14 students to be selected to be in this state troupe. The newly formed troupe rehearsed all day long and performed that evening 2 shows for over 1,000 students, teachers, and adults from all over the state of Illinois. It was truly an experience to watch an audience experience Jacob's performance for the first time. Sometimes we see something so often that we forget how special and magical it can be. His performance that evening opened my eyes again to what a student's performance can truly accomplish. And if I may speak completely objectively, not only did Jacob make the troupe, but he was one of the highest level improvisers on the stage. So congratulations to you for that.
Yes, you can get up now.
You're not going to make Jake say anything about his
I know, I was going to say.
experience? I said he was going to
You can't leave that. You can't leave that soon, Jacob.
No, I just want to say thank you to everyone. I would not be where I am without Mr. Cotero and all his teachings, and I would not have been able to do what I do without my fellow members right here. So I just want to thank them for all their hard work and dedication in pushing me forward, and it was a very wonderful, wonderful experience. I hope that you guys audition next year, because it's going to be it was life-changing. It really was. It was a great experience, and improv's my favorite thing to do.
I was going to say, so didn't you once say that when you look back at high school, this is the thing that you...
This is the thing that I will always remember.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Jacob, you're going into this college?
I am majoring in theater, yes.
And where are you going?
I don't know yet. Okay. To be determined.
Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations, and you will be making congratulations speeches. I forecast that, because you've always been, I know you from JV, so I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, so now, next we'd like to talk about our all-state music. Maura Brown and Anna Telezak. And a student? Yay, welcome.
Can we bring the students up?
Please. We weren't sure who all was here, but we'd love to see you. Tell us who they are. Tell us what they did.
So why don't you?
My name is Anna Tolozak, and I'm one of the band directors here at Batavia High School. And it's my privilege to introduce you to some of our outstanding music students and their achievements within the department. The IMEA All-State Festival is an extremely prestigious endeavor that is awarded to only juniors and seniors by audition, 2 auditions in fact. Students compete with thousands of other musicians across the state to form an honor band, orchestra, or choir to represent Illinois' top performers. This year we had 5 outstanding all-state musicians that we'd like to recognize.
My name is Mara Brown. I'm the orchestra director at BHS, and I'm going to introduce the 3 students on my right who are orchestra students who made it into the All-State Orchestra. I'll start with Natalie in the middle. Natalie is a junior violist. She's been involved in the Batavia Orchestras as a member of our concert and philharmonic orchestras. She's also been a member of our chamber orchestra for 3 years, so all 3 years of high school. Throughout high school and middle school, she's been a member of the Elgin Youth Symphonies and also the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestras. The last 2 years, she's made it to our district level IMEA orchestra, and also for the last 2 years, she's also made it into the All-State Honors Orchestra, which is the highest honor. So, congrats, Natalie. On her right is Hallie. She's also a junior, and she's also a viola player. She's also been involved in the concert and philharmonic orchestras and chamber orchestra, again for 3 years of high school. She's been a part of the Elgin Youth Symphony Orchestra. Through Elgin Youth Symphony, she was chosen to be a member of the prestigious Maud Powell String Quartet. They tour around schools, and it's a really big honor to be a part of that. She's now this year in the Chicago Youth Orchestra, both the Top Symphony Orchestra and the Encore Orchestra, which is the top half of the Top Symphony, which is pretty awesome. And she has made it into the IMEA district level for 3 years, and she was a freshman, and state for 2 years, and also in the Honors Orchestra for 2 years. So, go ahead. And then on my direct right is Alyssa Gao. She's a sophomore. She's a violinist, and she's been a member of the program for 2 years. She's been in the Elgin Youth Symphony Orchestra, I think you said for 7 years, is that right? And she's served in a lot of principal positions in those groups. She actually won a concerto competition with the Elgin Youth Orchestra and performed solo with them, and just within the last 3 weeks was chosen as the winner of the Fox Valley Orchestra Concerto Competition. So that's a professional orchestra she's going to solo with in the summer. And last 2 years she made IMEA districts. This year as a sophomore, you can make it in an orchestra as a sophomore. She was chosen for the Honors Orchestra, and she actually was chosen for first chair, second violin, which is huge. So congrats.
On my left is Katie Burtness, and she is a senior alto too, and has been involved in the Batavia Choir program for 4 years as part of treble choir and chamber singers. She's also participated in the competitive show choir for 4 years and serves as dance captain this year. This fall, Katie played a lead role as Fiona in the VHS musical production of Shrek. For the past 2 years, she's been selected for the IMEA District 9 Choir Festival and was in the 2014 All-State Choir. Katie is planning on majoring in wildlife ecology at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So congratulations, Katie. And then 2 people I see, Molly. Beautiful scarf. Molly Frederick, junior French horn player, and she's been involved in our Batavia program, our band program, as a member of the symphonic band and principal player of the Wind Symphony for 3 years. She's been a member of the Batavia High School Chamber Singers and Show Choir, and throughout her high school career, Molly has been a member of the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra and several other chamber music ensembles. For the past 3 years, Molly has earned the honor of participating in the IMEA Festival on the district level as principal horn since she's been a freshman, and most recently in the IMEA All-State Honors Band as the top horn player in the state. So congratulations to all of our student musicians and their families. We're so proud of all the work that you've done.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you.
Okay, and to round out our celebration of arts at Batavia tonight, we'd like to invite Don Zelkas forward to talk about National Scholastic Art winners.
Is it possible to project? I have images of the art
art that one is a
You
Tony?
could try, well.
Please.
It's me.
Try.
No pressure.
If it doesn't work, it's
Don't, are any
tough.
students here, or you're presenting?
Taryn
Oh,
is here. Great. Oh, and Brian.
let's hope he comes up.
Great, and someone else?
Oh, Anita. And Anita is here as
Great.
well.
Well, make them come up, because we want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
Get on to it. What's it called?
Scholastic, it's on the list. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
So the Scholastic Art, my name is Dawn Zelgis. I teach Art Fundamentals through AP at the high school. And I'm here to tell you about the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. This is our second year of participating. The Scholastic Art and Writing Awards is the longest running and most prestigious recognition program for creative teens. They're in their 91st year. They can count their alumni as Andy Warhol, Truman Capote, Richard Avedon, and Joyce Carol Oates. The Scholastic Art Awards gives the students the opportunity to place as a gold key, silver key, or honorable mention, first at the regional level here in Chicago. Those who earn a gold key are in the top 10% of the regional pool, and they move forward to compete nationally. Students who medal nationally are in the top 1% of the nation. Last year, Batavia was fortunate enough to have 2 students placed nationally. The image you see here is by Joey Danielson, who is now at Iowa State studying architecture. Andrea Schindelbeck was his teacher, and this is a self-portrait of him talking about his love of architecture. And if you move forward a slide, you'll see Kelsey Riley. Kelsey Riley saw a lot of waste going on in the cafeteria, and this piece is called From Trash to Treasure. And she actually carried around decaying apples in a baggie that she used those to sculpt from here. And so Joey took a gold medal, and Kelsey won a silver medal, and I was Kelsey's teacher. And then this year, we had 24 students earn awards at the regional level, which just finished up last week. 8 students were awarded a gold key, and the next couple slides will display the Gold Key Award winners. Brian Grebner, who's here tonight, you can see his drawing there. Christina Domsey, who is not here tonight, and if you move forward. Taryn placed in a field called Portfolio, so she put 8 images, right? Yes, 8 images. The Portfolio section's a little special because they will choose 10 people that will win a $10,000 scholarship at the national level, which is not like Joey and Kelsey did not win scholarship money, but it's kind of special right there. And if you move forward, we have Anita Wolf, who's here this evening as well, Cassie Sikta, and then one more, Irina Kennedy and Jessica Boyd. So when they win an award nationally, they're awarded in New York City, and people like Sarah Jessica Parker host the event. Kind of a little more fancy. They don't pay for the student to go there nationally, so the student has to fund their own way if they're interested in going. Last year it was on the day of graduation too. So this year's national award winners will be announced March 17th. Currently, all 24 pieces that placed in 2014 are on display at the Fine Arts Center, and if you want to come for the Fine Arts Festival, you'll be able to see them at that event there. Otherwise, they're on display through March 20th.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So it was my favorite part of the night because it gives us a chance to remember what we're doing and why we're doing it. So thank you all that came, and thank you for all that you guys have accomplished. Moving on, we are moving to the consent agenda. And if the students would like to make a quick mass exodus, we won't be interrupted.
Boring adult stuff.
Yeah. Moving on to the boring business
Sorry, we need to give
stuff.
20, 30 seconds to review the consent agenda since he's reading it.
Okay.
We just printed it for me.
Financial reports would always come right after the student, and so I call myself Chris the Crowd Killer. This would always happen.
Seven. All right, item number 7 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is a method of streamlining our meetings by taking one vote on a number of routine personnel and business items Each of the items is detailed in the agenda and has been appropriately posted in the board packet. And Mr. Inglesi, are you ready to read the consent agenda?
I am. Our visitors are going to miss my favorite part of the board meeting. The consent agenda tonight under item 7.1 is personnel, and that includes the regular personnel items that the board is accustomed to seeing. Item 7.2 are routine financial items, our payrolls, and our regular bills. 7.3 is our treasurer's report for the month of January and the investments that go along with it. Item 7.4 are donations. We've had 3 donations in the last month. The PTO at McWayne School is donating Chromebooks. J.D. Nelson received a donation from British Petroleum America, and the Fine Arts Center received a donation of props. Item 7.5 is the FOIA requests that we received in the last month, and item 7.6 through 7.14 and 14 include the regular minutes of the last month for the Board of Education, those minutes. Item 7.15 is a contract for SchoolNet, which is a student assessment data warehouse software for the district. Item 7.16 is a intergovernmental agreement with the Park District. And item 7.17 is a revised calendar for the current school year, accommodating the emergency days, the closed days that we've had over the last couple months. And the most recent addition, which would move item 9.1 to item 7.18, would be the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Batavia for the purchase of fuel for our vehicles.
Thank you, Tony. Are there any items on the consent agenda for removal or for clarification tonight? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Gasper, second by Blakely. Any discussion? Questions? Okay, Kathy, could you call the roll?
Blakely.
Yes.
Gaspar.
Yes.
Hodge.
Yes.
Incasato.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Duke.
Yes.
Dremel.
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on, item number 8 is for discussion and information only. Dr. Newkirk is going to be updating us on our CAC and plaque annual updates.
Joining me tonight will be my 2 co-chairs on both the CAC committee, the Curriculum Assessment Advisory Council. I think we'll sit for this, it'll be a while. So Colleen is a teacher at Louise White School. She's also the co-chair of the Professional Learning Advisory Council, and she's here to present a little summary of the information that group's been working on for the past year. Amy Biancheri, who you well know, is my co-chair on the Curriculum Assessment Advisory Council, CAC. Some great acronyms for these committees. But she's here to talk a little bit about the work that this committee has been doing. Really, this comes out of, both of these committees come out of our last negotiated agreement with the BEA. And the primary goal of these committees is to increase teacher voice and have a decision-making process in place for issues that really are at the heart of teaching. And that is curriculum, assessment, instruction, and professional learning, our continued growth as professionals. So really this comes out of a desire to increase teacher voice in these areas and to also make sure that decision-making has a pathway to make it through our organization. It's not one personality or one person, it's really us working together to move forward as one unit. So both of these committees really stem out of that. We've been working since November of 2012 together, and much of our initial time was really setting up our parameters for working together. And that's really the reason that we're here tonight, is because one of the parameters that we set was an accountability parameter that we would report back to the board annually about our work and our progress. So that was an agreement that we made with that group, and the reason that we're here tonight is to show you some of the work that we've been working on and see if you have any questions about that work. The teacher teams and administrator teams that work on both of these groups are comprised of representatives from each level, including specialist, non-traditional teaching positions, as well as administrators from every level. And also, there's a board liaison, as well as central office staff that are a part of both of these committees. So Kathy is the board representative for the curriculum group, and Tina is the board representative for our professional learning group. And again, this is to keep information flowing from the board to the teachers to administration so that we're all on the same page with these very crucial issues. We spent a lot of time defining our purpose. This is the next slide. And I just want to review that with you. In the board documents, I did share some more lengthy documents, but I wanted to summarize that for you. You can see that our charge for the Curriculum Assessment Advisory Council is to monitor and evaluate the district curriculum, assessments, and instruction, and make any recommendations to the Board of Education Policy Committee. So we make recommendations. There are voting members. The teachers and administrators are voting members of this. I am not, nor is the board member. And they would move recommendations onto the policy committee. The curriculum, final curriculum, is adopted by the Board of Education, so we want to make sure there are lots of hands touching that curriculum before it comes to the board policy committee and onto the full board, so that there are no surprises there. Really, our theory of change for this group stems out of the professional learning community model, and that theory of change says that there are 3 essential pieces to the learning systems within an organization. And the first is that guaranteed and viable curriculum. You have to have a guaranteed and viable curriculum so that children's experience from one classroom to another are similar. They're not going to be the same, but similar experiences, and that the curriculum is a living document where we're continually refining that. The balanced and coherent assessment system, we have to know how we're doing. And students need feedback and teachers need feedback about how the curriculum is working, so you need a balanced and coherent assessment system. And then a school-wide pyramid of interventions. So a school-wide pyramid of interventions works in 2 different ways. One is to provide extra support and assistance for students that are not responding to our curriculum. And then on the other end of the spectrum is students who already know our curriculum and need enrichment and extension should be provided those opportunities. So it's about setting up systems there. That really is the theory of change that drives the work that CAC does. The next group, PLAC. PLAC is devoted to professional learning, and this group reports directly to the superintendent regarding comprehensive staff learning and training plans based on our curriculum and all of our state and federal mandates. There are a lot of demands on teachers for training, plus a lot of desires by teachers for further training and professional development. And really, if we look at it, our equation, as we talked about our theory of change for professional learning, says that effective professional learning does have an impact on educators' knowledge, their experience, their attitudes, their beliefs, and their practices. So if you can have really good professional learning, that changes the educator, which has a positive impact on the student and student achievement. So oftentimes we receive feedback that professional learning, teachers should know what they need to know to be successful in the classroom when they come out of college. We all know from our careers and our experiences, you learn best by that job-embedded training and ongoing support time and time again. So it really is, our ultimate goal is to affect student learning, but it's through changing the learning and beliefs of educators in that process. There are the next 2 slides I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but these are really defining our mission. And where some of our committees like these have struggled in the past was we didn't have a real clear mission of what the group was created to do. People will come in and off the groups, and we would lose sight of why that group existed in the first place. And that can be a really frustrating experience, to be with a group of people, you think you know what you're doing, but you don't have a real clear mission. So we spent a lot of time in both groups really defining our mission. And what the mission turned out to be was not just a set of beliefs and values, but a way of moving forward over the next 3 to 5 years to improve curriculum, assessment, instruction, and professional learning for the district. So it really laid out a 3 to 5 year plan for those important items for the next 3 to 5 years. And I think Colleen and Amy can both attest there's a lot of work to be done. Sometimes it seems like we're getting some of that work done, sometimes it seems like we're not. But it's the desire by all members, I believe, to really move forward with many of these things together. So that's defining our mission for PLAC as well, and what our group's goal is. One of the things that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to transition over to Amy, is some of the work that's been set up to develop some processes. And processes is never, as the board knows from policy committee, setting up procedures and policies is really important work, but there's not a lot of flash to it. You're not setting up these great things. So, but it's important to have a strong backbone to the curriculum work that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to transition to Amy to talk about some of the work that CAC has been doing.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Right now, this is an overview of the entire curriculum review process, and we base it on a Plan, Do, Study, Act system. And as you can see, it's staggered so that different groups are doing things at different times. And as you also might notice from the color blocks, some of the groups will take a longer time to plan, do, study, and act than others, depending on how big of an undertaking it is, how much it affects the district, you know, how large a group, and how much we have to do to get our curriculum aligned and everything. In math has been working already, and they're at a place where they're going to be doing implementation in the fall, and technology has also been working. And then some of the bigger ones, English, language, arts, and science, are in the planning stage right now. And if you go to the next slide, the way that it's working currently, there are leadership teams in place for math, ELA, PE, science, and then systems of reporting. Systems of reporting includes the report cards, and it includes not only the child's progress, but the school's progress, the district's progress, and the information, other information based on stakeholder surveys, what people want to know about. Under the leadership teams, there are individual task forces that work on curriculum writing and getting to state standards and everything. Right now, the math and English language arts are working to align with Common Core state standards. The PE is using the enhanced PE framework, and science is using the next generation science standards, although you probably know this already. We're still waiting for final adoption from the state for the standards. In the summer, right now math and PE have task forces, and they're doing a lot of work, and then in the summer, English language arts and science are going to be doing some curriculum writing.
Just to kind of put this into context, there is a lot of change within the educational system right now. Amy just mentioned math, ELA, science, PE, all have new standards that they're grappling with. And when you change the standards, it really does reshape the entire curriculum. So there's a lot of change in our systems. I think it's most exacerbated at the elementary level, where you have teachers who are teaching multiple subjects. You can see that we were intentional in trying to scaffold some of these curriculum changes so that you're not learning 4 new curriculums at one particular time. But with the volume of standards changes that are going on, it's very difficult to wait on any one of these pieces. So there is a lot of work and a lot of teacher leadership going on with these leadership teams, and then getting more teacher voice into the system through those task forces. There's a lot of change in the system, but these teams are working very hard to tackle that.
And in order to tackle that, the PLEX role is to provide the professional learning to support our teachers. So this year we've created something called the Professional Learning Catalog. And in that catalog, it contains a variety, it actually has a menu of professional learning that is available to teachers. And those topics include things from the Danielson framework to assessment, to Common Core, PLC coaching, student engagement, and literacy. And this is something that we're very proud of. We've had over 480 registrations by teachers taking part in these learning opportunities for them, which has been really exciting. And this is something that sessions are offered at different times to accommodate teacher schedules. Teachers have choice in this, which I think is really critical. And many of the opportunities that are available in the catalog are based on response to a survey that was distributed to all staff across the district back in December. So by providing these, these are a result of teacher voice, and I think that's really essential in making this catalog a successful piece. We did a needs assessment back in December to gather staff preferences regarding the professional learning that was available. And based on these results, the top 5 areas that teachers really felt they needed additional support and learning on were serving the needs of disengaged learners, non-typical school behaviors, social and emotional learning, questioning and discussion techniques. That piece really stemmed from the new teacher evaluation model, the Danielson model, as well as making sure that we have that job-embedded professional learning. We know that is the most successful way for teachers to really learn. Another dimension that we have been fortunate on the next slide, we'll talk to you about coaching. And this is something that is brand new in the district this year. We currently have 4 coaches in the district. 1 full-time at my building at Louise White, half-time at HC Storm, 1 at Rotolo, and 1 additional half-time person at the high school. And the roles that the coach serves are the model that is currently being utilized in our district is that of the data coach, the instructional specialist, and the learning facilitator, of which I will talk to you about what each one of those roles look like so you're familiar with that. The data coach works with teachers or teams to assist teachers in reviewing student data and trends that they're seeing within the data. They provide input in increasing student engagement. Conversations are held that analyze student learning and to determine what next steps will help meet our students' needs. The instructional specialist is that of one in which they assist teachers in selecting and implementing appropriate instructional strategies. They will also work toward differentiation strategies, and it can be something that they work with individuals or with groups of teachers. And last is the learning facilitator. Their role is to facilitate learning for teachers targeting a particular curriculum area or skill. They are available to design and deliver training to us using a variety of models. And when we brought this coaching model to our district, we're very fortunate because I know the district examined other models that were out there, and we really wanted something that would fit the needs here of our students and families here in Batavia. And one other critical piece of that is every successful athlete or musician really needed a coach at some point in their life. And there may have been a little hesitancy at the beginning because, like, you know, most people think they're pretty confident about doing their job, but there's always something you can do to be better. And the coach has really been such an effective tool for all of us to use, and I can speak to that because I've tapped into our coach at our building, so it's really been a great resource for us.
I'm going to go a little bit more into coaching since there have been some questions on that, so there should be a link right there where it says data. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the instructional coaching program, just to share with the board some of the updates that we've been discussing at the PLAC group to kind of peel back the veil. And one of the things that we've been very intentional about is communicating what an instructional coach does, because I think most people have a concept of what a classroom teacher does because they were in school, but it's not always known what an instructional coach does and what their role is. So our instructional coaching program has a strong communication plan embedded within it so that people know what the coach is doing in the work that they're doing, because they're doing great work, and again, it's about spreading that great work and that learning to other teachers. Instructional coaching comes from some of the research, if you go back, that shows that, you know, when you are just getting information through a presentation of a theory or a demonstration, you're getting some increases in knowledge and you're getting some skill attainment. But if you look at that coaching and other forms of workplace-specific support, you're getting much larger impacts, the percent of knowledge and skill attainment as a result of that type of professional learning. So it's really showing that this is having a bigger effect than, while we're very happy to offer courses and after-school workshops through our catalog, we're seeing that that plus this is really the best way to go to get that learning spread throughout the organization. We do look at several metrics. When we set up the system, we said we need to evaluate the success of our instructional coaching program. And metrics are not always easy to find for some of these programs, so we had a lot of discussion about what this might look like. So our coaches do keep a log. That information goes anonymously through our coach champion, and then is displayed to all the people at PLAC and to other administrators as well. We do post-coaching feedback surveys to get the feedback of the people actually being coached. And then a partnership agreement is something that we're growing into. When you set up a partnership agreement, it's really just like a contract between two teachers. It's not a binding contract, but it's, hey, we're going to work on this, and this is how we're going to measure our results. And that's through those long-standing relationships that the coach builds with the teachers. So that's something in the last third of the school year where we'll take a look at. So looking at some of the data that's being compiled, and again, I know it's very small, which is why I gave you this in front of you. What role, we have primary roles for our instructional coaches that we train on. What role are they taking? And you can see that there are two pieces of data. They're roughly about the same amount of school days, about 40 to 50 school days per segment. And you can see that not only did, in the second segment of time, from October through January, did we see a greater number of instances of coaching, going from 235 to 462. We also saw that it primarily functioned around that instructional specialist. So as Colleen said, that's where coaching takes place, where you're talking about what instructional strategies are going to make the biggest difference for student learning and getting into that aspect of instructional coaching. On the next slide, what are coaches doing? Again, it's hard to see, but modeling and co-teaching and co-planning in both segments of time are higher than the other tasks of coaching. And that's where we really see the heart of coaching, is in modeling, co-teaching, co-reflecting, co-planning with teachers. That's where you're apt to see the best growth in terms of learning. So they do things and trainings and other things. They have a lot of tasks. They're pulled in a lot of different directions, but they're really staying in the heart of coaching, which is a positive sign. On the next is when are coaches and coachees meeting? So teachers are very busy people. So when is this training happening? And we said that the highest form of professional learning is job-embedded coaching. And we can see that most of our coaching, the highest percent of our coaching, in most instances, take place during class time. So we're not pulling teachers out to learn. We're pushing in to help learn with the kids. And that, if you're modeling a lesson, both teachers are in the room assisting students. So another good sign. We discussed this with the instructional coaches about the amount of time that they're spending in any one kind of coaching interaction. You can see it's between 30 to 45 minutes. This is pretty sustained interaction, 30 to 45 minutes. In a one-on-one or a one person to a team, small team environment is pretty intensive. The coaches, it was difficult for me to say whether this was good or bad data. The coaches said, yeah, that's about the sweet spot for working with teachers in the 30 to 45. Longer and you're kind of being a drain and impacting their other duties. Any shorter, you're not getting to the depth that you want. So that was their reflection. In the post-coaching feedback forms, the degree that the coaching experience improved their practice. This is on a 5-point Likert scale. You can see very high marks from the people that received coaching for that. The degree that coaching experience improved student achievement, again, that end in mind, is a 4.3. Again, very high. And many of the comments that we got along with this was, I know my kids are going to perform, but I'm filling out the form, and my kids are taking their quiz the next day, so I'll let you know. So it was really positive feedback, and teachers were enthused by the experience that they had with their coaches. Next slide. Just kind of qualitatively, we peeled out some of the comments that teachers were making that were representative of both the student achievement results and their work with their coach that you can see there. And nothing was over the top here, but these were really thoughtful to me comments, and I really appreciated all of the thoughtfulness that went into teachers reflecting on working with the coach and then submitting that through the coaching feedback form. And to me, I'm very heartened by teachers seeing the impact on student achievement. that working with the coach can have.
I think we'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to have these coaches in our building, because it really is making a difference with our student achievement. So thank you.
Sorry, Tony, the transition there.
Next, we'd like to speak to you about our communication plans and how do we deliver our message to our stakeholders for each of our organizations.
First. Since obviously teachers are the group that is responsible for implementing all of the both curriculum and the assessments, we felt that they were our primary group for a communication plan that's two-way. Parents and community and the board also, we developed communication plans for them because it's really important, especially since parents are such an integral part of helping their kids to be successful and do well. So we have implemented the plans for two-way communication. I'm assuming that's in the bigger plan because it's pretty complex. But ours is pretty planned out, and we have a system in place. And I know that is from the teachers and the parents and administrators you're in the process of doing. And did you want to add anything specific?
I was just going to say, you know, for us, the teachers in the learning obviously is very critical, but also developing that strong relationship with families and parents is also important too. So that parents are aware of the learning that's happening because it really does affect their students' achievement. So that is why that is another integral piece of our stakeholder groups.
Both of these groups, I want to compliment them on taking a very systematic approach to these communication plans. They spend a lot of time on these, but I think they've set up some systems that are going to help us in the future. Because, you know, we hear about getting things done and doing, but if you don't have a good system to support that, it becomes very random. And we don't want to confuse teachers, parents, the board, administrators about any of this work. We want to make sure we're very systematic about our communication and the work that we're doing so that people have an idea of what's coming up and what changes are on their way.
And also just to add to that, the fact that it's two-way communication so that there is, we get feedback too from all the parties involved, and then we can have a continual method of improving.
And collaborating and having that good dialogue. It's so essential.
That is our presentation. We'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Well, I'm glad that you said it's going to take 3 to 5 years in a work in progress, that it's going to take time, because I don't want to see anything rush. As you know, I've been preaching, let's do one thing, get it done right, move on, or add things to it, and go on. So the collaboration part, what I wanted to ask about it, the CAC and the PLAC, they meet separately at times, and then how often do you meet together?
We were just talking about, so we had an all-day meeting in January, because in the fall, we were working separately. We met once a month. And we established in the future, we wanted to do that, was it twice a year? 3 times a year, sorry. To check in and have a little bit more of a deep discussion and make sure we're all aligned and that we're...
So how often is CAC and PLAC meeting separately? Or is it monthly?
We each meet once a month.
Once a month? Yep. So then the collaboration that you're getting back, that you're talking inside your meetings, someone's going back to the other buildings and bringing back feedback, and then you're mashing it all out and making sure everything is going the right way, and people are talking. What I'm saying, what I'm trying to get at is people aren't leaving a meeting and then all of a sudden say something else, but they're trying to say it within the meeting, and people are feeling comfortable now of this process, that it's what we're trying to get at, because it's to benefit the students, and of course help out the teachers and all that. So I just want to make sure, I've heard different things before, but I think it's, what I'm hearing now, it sounds like it's coming together a lot better than what it was maybe, and Kathy and Tina probably, and I know, Brad and everybody, for frustrated for a while at times, but it sounds like it's getting to the point where people are feeling more comfortable and and finally figuring out we're here for the kids and to make things right. And so that's my main concern on all this.
Yeah, I think we really needed to hash out the time thing and the ability for us to meet. And in January when we met, we talked about that and we did that.
It really helps provide both committees the foundation where everyone kind of started and to see the alignment that exists between the two groups.
Okay.
And in response to Mr. Gasper's question, I think that now that we have these communication plans, CAPS is more solidified in place than we're still, PLAC is currently working on further developing 2 of our stakeholder groups. But now that we have the teacher plan in place, I think that we've been up more lines of communication, so we should be able to get even more feedback than what we're currently already getting.
And Colleen, you, in regards to communicating, UN,
Yes.
Jenny visited.
Yes. Jenny, Barron, and I, the other elementary representative on the PLAC committee, went in to each of the elementary buildings and presented to them about the professional learning catalog so they would know about the different learning opportunities that were available to them in the menu. And we're a voice for them that if they had any questions, they could reach out to us at that point in time or send us an email, because we wanted them to really have a face to connect to, that we are the people that are representing you on this committee and we want your voice to be heard.
I think one of the things that gratified me in the joint PLAC-CAC meeting was when you were asked, does this process that was supposed to provide an opportunity for teachers to have a voice, does it provide that? And overwhelmingly, the answers were out of 5, 3s and 4s. And I remember Dr. Hitchens saying, well, where are the 1s and 2s? And the answer was there aren't any 1s and 2s, that it was a very solid showing that teachers are saying that they do feel like this is an opportunity for their voice to be heard. And I think that was one of John's points, is that it's incredibly valuable. We recognize that you guys are on the front lines in the classroom. You know our kids, you know the art of teaching, and so it's always changing and it's always growing. And so the fact that you guys are having a voice in that was what we did want to hear. And so we, look for that to continue.
Do the committees have an opinion as to how many more coaches they would like to see, what buildings they would like to see them in, or do you not talk about things like that?
I think everybody would love to have a coach in their building. Especially now that we have some data to show the results of the success of having them and the increase of teachers that are tapping into them. I think, if that was something that was available to our students in all of the buildings, that it would well be worth it.
I asked this question to Brad earlier, and I'm just going to ask because now I have the opportunity to have two teachers to check his answer. Are you finding that there is a ripple effect to the coaching? So the good coaching that's happening is then growing into other teachers who are, either in your PLCs or on your teams, that everyone's sort of benefiting from it, hopefully, at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
He said a lot of
I think I tapped into our coach for a new guided reading lesson template because I was looking for a framework to make sure I was covering what needed to be covered within the content of my lessons. And I teach first grade, so Amy's the other end of my spectrum. But it was nice to be able to have those conversations within our PLC to share the information that was working for me and my students with my fellow teammates. Okay. And I think, I know that ours is well used in our building. I never see her sitting down for very long because she's hustling from one teacher to another group of teachers to meet with them. So
we're just hoping that it will ripple out and that there will be like a cumulative effect of that. And Brad said there was.
I think we're seeing really good results within our building.
Good.
Of teachers really tapping into that and then sharing their knowledge.
Our coaches have come in and talked at PLAC, and we have a coach on PLAC.
She here?
Back there.
Is she back there?
She's done back there. Oh no, she's hiding. But they're very busy. They're very busy, and I am most impressed with the data from the beginning of the year to now, with the increased amount of time that the coaches are spending and the importance of it. I know in PLAC we discussed that quite a bit, how important it is, and not only that, but the learning catalog. The amount of responses has doubled.
Can you explain that just a little bit more?
Sure. The professional learning catalog is available on the district's curriculum and instruction website, and there are a variety of topics that are targeting different areas that we felt were essential to learning. Mr. Pierce has been so kind to offer his support for any teams that wanted to tap into professional learning communities training, our PLCs that meet weekly. If anyone needed support with that, he's available, and they would register right online to sign up for that and provide him with the time. And then Steve follows up with those people and attends their meeting and provides the support that he needs to provide. That would be one example.
Okay.
Another example, some teachers at my building and I did a book study this past summer about student feedback, and then we presented to some district teachers about what we gained from the book study and talked about student goal setting, which has been something that we really have worked hard on this year in the district. And so we have a variety of options. So we
It's
have
different opportunities.
different
that are available.
opportunities for
Okay.
learning.
And that comes from adult learning theory, which says you have to have choice and voice in that learning process. And you also have to kind of meet on-demand needs of teachers.
Sure.
So, hey, I'm struggling with my guided reading. What can I reach out to get some support? I feel like I could be better at X. It's not from a deficit model. I think all of our professional learning comes from a strengths model, where you're tapping into the strengths of district teachers, administrators, and other professionals to enhance the strengths of other professionals within the organization.
And the teachers have been very receptive to learning from other teachers. It's not somebody all the time, we're not always bringing somebody in from the outside, but listening to your colleagues, be willing to share what's been successful, what's something they're still working on. Those, I think, have been great conversations that we've been able to have.
I think in the long run, that's going to benefit you more than other things, because peers to peers will work a lot better going forward on it and so on.
Who evaluates the coaches, the principals?
We have, the principals evaluate the coaches, and we have an instructional specialist rubric that aligns with their work.
On the same, I was going to say, who do the coaches report to? Is it the principals, or is it to you, or?
No, they don't report to me. My job in this system is to set up systems and then to monitor and support those systems. So I meet monthly with the coaches, but they meet mostly by themselves to problem solve, work through issues, improve their skills. And the principals and I come in at the end to say, hey, what can we do to support you? Let's process through some of the issues that are coming up. So that's really my role in the system. And then they really rely on Angie Sutherland, who is an instructional technologist, who functions as a coach within the district, but just for technology. And she really is kind of their go-to person. So all the data goes to Angie. I don't see any of the names of who's being coached or anything like that, so that we can have trust in our system. She processes that data. She put together that presentation that you saw. So all of that stuff is processed through her, and she's also coordinating, making sure that coaches have the resources that they need to do their work.
I had one other question. On the instructional coaching logs, what are they trying to log down? Is it who they're talking with, or what the subject matter? Can you just explain that a little bit, what type of a log they're trying to keep?
I don't actually ever see these. I just see the aggregate information, but I know they log who they're working with, the time, what role they're playing. They do anecdotal notes on what if they're providing a resource, what was it, those types of things. All of the data that you saw, most of the data comes from that log. It's just a Google spreadsheet that they do. They send that to Angie. She strips off all the names, compiles the data, and that's what we talk about at Slack.
Well, sounds like it's going well, and just keep up the good work. Thank you.
I think we should clap again.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I think, why don't you talk?
Okay. Dr. Mana, you're going to talk to us about capital and staffing plan.
I am, and I'm sure some others will chime in as well.
All right.
As you can see from the board memo in board docs or in your packet, last year in February, we first brought a capital and staffing plan so that we could start to discuss how the administration was recommending that we utilize the resources that were projected to come in from the expiration of the Aurora TIP. And at that time, we were targeting 3 specific areas. We were targeting improving or increasing the amount we were investing in capital improvements throughout the district. We also believe that we could start to restore some of the staff or programs or make some instructional improvements that we had held back during the economic downturn. And then we also had a goal of trying to avoid short-term borrowing or reinvesting in our reserves so that we had adequate cash resources to get us through the year without having to borrow. We implemented that this year, and as you can see, some of the instructional coaching is a result of that, and some of the improvements that we made throughout the district, such as the Rotolo track improvement and the improvements at J.B. Nelson in both the parking lot and on some of the interiors, were a result of the recommendation that you approved last March, or that the Board of Education at that time approved last March. This year we are continuing down that path of targeting capital improvements and instructional improvements. In your memo, we detail the projects that at this time we are recommending be a part of our plan for next year. This recommendation would increase the total invested in capital projects up to $1.5 million. This year it was targeted at 1.1, so it's a $400,000 increase. And you can see the high priority items that came off of the capital improvements list that Mr. Pat Brown presented in January to the board. We'd be happy to entertain any questions you have over capital projects. We got into a lot of detail today at the Finance Committee, but I think for the purposes of this discussion tonight, it might make sense to stop at the capital projects and have any discussion that you want on capital before we move into our recommendations for how we intend to improve instruction in the next year. So again, these are all off of the capital improvements list that was recently given to you. They are all what we would consider high priority items or some type of safety concern. We do include some of the life safety items that are being generated from our current decennial life safety report, the 10-year life safety survey. And also there are a couple of items in here such as the rebuilding of the track at the high school, which is a safety issue. It is not the full-blown expansion of the track that is included in the athletic field plan that the board has approved. This is simply rebuilding the current existing 7-lane track, not the expansion. Also, this plan does include doing the improvements to the existing maintenance shop over on the high school property, knowing full well that the board may be entertaining some type of long-term solution of a different facility, whether it's leased or built onto the side. But there are there's about $140,000 worth of work at the shop that would bring it up to code. So I'll pause there. If we get into specifics, I know Mr. Brown is available to get into any of the specifics of the capital portion of this plan. We're only here for discussion and information and to start to get some feedback for you if we're going in the right direction with this. We would plan to bring this for an approval in March for us to begin to build the budget with that.
And just for, I think Bill and Tina, you're the only two that weren't there. One of the things that we did ask Chris to bring to us next month are just actual costs on options for the shop so that we can see what our other options are for this.
I know John and I had concerns on that.
Yes.
Yeah, we've begun to try to explore what properties may be available for either lease or purchase, but we just don't have any firm numbers to bring back to the board yet. Okay. But that'll be a priority now going into March.
And something that John brought up that I think is also relevant, just based on the nature of the high cost, is the rebuilding of the track. It is a safety issue if, as John said, miraculously someone put a whole bunch of money in our pocket and said, hey, let's rebuild our stadium. That would not be a wasted. We could build on to that larger, but this is something that we'd have to do no matter what, and we don't lose the entire benefit of it by doing it now.
So we pretty much have to.
We have to do something, and so, again, John's concern was, let's not
and we can't,
spend $100.
We can't do the whole big track without moving bleachers and.
Right.
I mean, you can't just add that other thing without.
Right. So John's concern was, we're not going to do this and then have to rip it out of, 5 years down the road.
Right.
Whatever. And the answer was generally no. It may cost some to add on, but it's not a complete overhaul. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't want to see you throwing money down the drain.
Good money.
I would say those are probably two of the biggest themes based on this list that we talked about today. Would you agree? People who were there? Okay.
And with nothing else on capital, the other half of the plan that we have before you tonight for discussion and information is the plan to improve instruction. so the staffing aspect of this plan. So I would look to Dr. Newkirk, who was instrumental in crafting this, along with Mr. Pierce and myself. We met with each of the building principals to discuss what they felt their staffing needs were, and then the other areas that they believed that they could improve student achievement within their school. So, Dr. Newkirk?
Sure, and those conversations resulted in not only looking at enrollment numbers and where we can decrease class size, but also where the principal would like to see improvements in their instructional program. So it actually yielded a very long laundry list of potential staff. That list was prioritized. We looked at what are our requirements, what are our mandates, what are things that align strategically with our goals. You can see that the goal is to continue the process of reducing class size, increase student achievement through supporting teachers, and also through effective leadership and supervision of those teachers as well. You can see class size is a 3.0 FTE increase. One of the things that, through looking at our initial enrollment numbers, was that we may have potentially have about 4.0 FTE of surplus elementary teachers, and that sounds odd to say, but 4.0 teachers that we would not recommend leaving our system, but keeping them to reduce class size further at the elementary level. In modest middle school and high school additions to help reduce class size at those levels. I have to say that, looking at our enrollment numbers, I know our principals are constantly looking at this. This is a very conservative estimate. We will not, I don't think, through these additions, reach kind of the stasis of where we were before in terms of class size, but it is moving in that direction. So trying to be very conservative with that. Administrative support, we've had good experiences with our elementary assistant principals, so it would be to finish out that. Teacher support, specifically for our coaching program and supporting technology in integration within the district. And then there are some things that we're looking at for mandatory or program supports, specifically in the area of ELL and special education. That would be 10 certified staff, 1 administrative staff, would be the recommendation.
And again, just a quick review of what we talked about in finance. One of the questions was this staffing recommendation is contingent on our continuing negotiations or our started negotiations with the BEA. And so Brad said he had a scaffolded plan so that we weren't committing to a complete rollout of this until we actually saw what the results of those negotiations were. So we'll start with the mandated additions and work forward from there. And you said you would present that to us, correct? Or you?
I'll present that at the March board meeting
when
so that board members have a little bit more detail about what that scaffoldment looks like.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, and I said it this afternoon, was on the administrative support, at least, getting the assistant principal for Grace McWayne and JB goes in line with, we already have them at the other two, so it keeps them and it helps the principal. And I think that's a good add-on. One question I forgot to ask at finance, and we're at the middle school class size, and then it said exploratories. Do you know what we're talking about in the exploratories, or is it specific classes?
There is a teacher who is, and Steve can help me out with this, who is not quite full-time.
0.83, I think.
Yeah, he's 0.83. This would round him off into full-time, and he is in the industrial arts area where there's high demand for our students.
Okay. So it's in an industrial shop type class. That's for safety reasons and all that, to keep that number down.
It would help with those class sizes, yes.
Okay. All right.
And I'm sorry, my brain is just completely stopped. Where will we then, if we adopted this plan, have vice principals?
What schools? It would be at all 6 elementaries, but they have a half-time person at each building.
Okay. They share.
We currently have 2.0 that are split between 2 buildings each. So 4 of our 6 elementaries have this support. This would be expanding it to where all elementaries have
Is that
it.
the long-term plan to keep it that way? Or is there a plan to eventually have a full-time person at each elementary school?
Yes, that's right. That's why I
From what we've seen through our experience, we've never in the district had elementary assistant principals. that this seems to be an appropriate level of support. Obviously, they're very busy people, split between 2 buildings, taking on a variety of tasks, but that seems to be the appropriate level of support. They do a lot of teacher evaluation, so they're helping with that load as well. Lisa?
So, again, both of these are preliminary recommendations. We plan to bring a very finite plan to you in March that we expect to look much like this, with the exception that you may provide us feedback or direction that something needs to be modified in this. We are also, like we talked about the scaffolding of the staffing, the same would hold true for the capital projects, because there's a lot of uncertainties still existing right now. In March, we should actually know the final number that we could project to receive from the property tax levy. However, we still have uncertainty with what level of funding will come from the state, what will the funding formula be from the state. There's new legislation to completely change the funding formula. And two contracts that are yet to be bargained, so we don't know the financial impact of those. So even with this, we still believe that we will be in a position, and we will be conservative in how we roll out this plan so that we can still try to avoid short-term borrowing going forward. And I know the board has recently talked about trying to provide some type of ongoing tax relief through abating bonds, going forward in future years. So all of that will be worked into the final plan. This is just addressing the capital and the staffing changes that we would be recommending for next year.
Excellent. Any other questions, anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we will move on. I'm sorry, what? Oh, I thought I heard a voice. We'll move on to item number 9. We only have one item under action tonight, which are under policy recommendations to the board. Dr. Hutchins.
Sure. So last month we tried this out where we had our policy committee meeting, and then I did a summary report at this meeting and asked for you to take action on what the policy committee is asking you to take action on. So there are 2 members of the board that are regular committee members on that policy committee, and we had a great discussion last Wednesday at our noon meeting, and they are recommending these 3 different actions. The first would be, let's start with the easy one, policy 640, which the whole board has seen at last in January's regular meeting. You guys have seen it. We didn't get a whole lot of feedback, but I do have some feedback. John reminded me that it says superintendent in some places and superintendent and designee in others. So we'd like to make that change. Everywhere it says superintendent
or designee,
we would say superintendent or designee. So we're going to make that change, and so we're asking you to approve that. The second one, the wellness. This is a first reading, and what we determined that there are different ways
Can I stop you for a second? Just so I'm on the right area, the combined, the curriculum and development, and I meant to bring this up, and it might not be the right spot, and I know I talked about it once before, was when we do something with regards to new book or new materials for curriculum, and we put it on display, and I know it was the process of one book, usually at the building or someplace. I just want to reiterate that I would like to see maybe us try to get 2, so one can maybe stay here as a central spot. I don't know if we have it in the elementaries, it becomes harder because you got 6 buildings. But if it's something, a book at the middle school or the high school, keep one there for people to see, and then keep one here so someone will have a chance. And when I looked at that, I just wanted to make sure that, again, just to keep it fresh in your guys' mind, asking, that's basically what I wanted to bring up.
Great. Yeah, I do remember that you said that, and that we would try, if we were piloting, or not piloting a book, if we were recommending a book, we're trying not to incur the extra expense.
Right.
Some of our high school textbooks are well over $100 each, and so just trying to have the one, but if the publisher would allow us to have another one at no cost for the display, we would definitely do
right.
that. To have
Doesn't
one
hurt to
here
ask.
and one at the high school. What else on 640?
That's then all I had.
That's all on 640. Okay, 650, this is a first reading, and there are a variety of ways that policies make their way to the policy committee. And one way would be as an administrator or someone is looking at a policy and notices something that needs to be tweaked. And this would be an example. We made some changes to policy 7285, I think, last year. And as we were looking at the wellness policy, we saw that it contradicted a different policy that the board changed last year. So that policy 650, if you look at that one, this is just a first reading, so we're asking you to read it and provide comments at this time so that the policy committee can listen to your comments and go back and rewrite the policy or review whatever we need to at our next policy committee meeting. So you can see what the policy committee is recommending we delete from that wellness policy would be the food as reward. So we know that there's another policy that says we don't give food as rewards, and this policy says we do. So trying to clean that up. So comments or suggestions about this policy? All right. So we'll go back to the policy committee, talk about that, but there's no comments. But if you might think of some along the way, you still have till March till we would actually approve that. So give us your comments. And this one, the last one is policy 665. So when I was listening to the CAC and PLAC, I know that the CAC update, there's many different ways. We saw those different work groups, and those come to us in a variety of ways. So for those, there's changing standards that would require us to be doing some work. But then there's also, the board gave us some direction that you asked us to look at the social emotional learning standards. Even though the standards themselves didn't change, this was direction that you gave the administration. We want you to revisit this policy. So we did, and there's what we had. It's been a work in progress, and so we had a community forum back in January, and what we did was we said that as a result of this community forum, we would have a report to the community. This is what the community believes about social emotional learning in Batavia. So we collected all of the feedback from that discussion and also from a survey that we gave, and we want to make an official report to the community. So we asked the policy committee to look at that report to the community. We asked the members of the committee themselves, that social emotional learning, parent advisory and community advisory and student advisory, Jake was on it. So we asked them to look at this report to the community and give us some feedback. So we did get some feedback. We have a second draft of this report to the community, and what I'm looking for right now is for you guys to talk about this second draft of the report to the community so that we can finally get that in the community's hands, because it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about the SEL policy and what what the community thinks of it, and it's time for us to share what our findings. So the report itself talks about the process, the steps that we took to get here. The report talks about the resources that were given to the Citizens Advisory Committee. So Jake and Tina, when they were there, they got a binder of resources, and so we shared what they received in preparation for the discussion. Then we had the discussion itself, and you're going to see the themes from the discussion here in this report. We gave a survey to all the community, and you'll see the results to that in this report. And then finally the recommendations moving forward, which is how I started talking about CAC, which is one of the recommendations is that we have a work group now that looks at those standards and applies what you've told us your feelings are about this policy. And so then this work group would go and say, all right, let's review all of this report and do some programming, make some suggestions. There's also a policy recommendation at the back of this report. So I would ask that you guys give me your comments now about the report itself so we can get this out to the public.
Well, I did want to, after the policy meeting, which I thought was a very good meeting, that things were changed around a little bit, and I know I talked to Lisa on, there was one correction of deleting one word, that wasn't in there. Maybe an S should have been added to programs, educational programs on that same line.
Right, where it said other.
Where it said other, delete the word other and put educational programs, as it was consistent with the other place. I felt more comfortable that some things were taken out of that from our discussion on the policy, and I was satisfied with the rephrasing of the one area in like the 4th paragraph, which is now the 3rd paragraph. Some students may need extra programming or supports when their behaviors interfere with their learning and future success. I think that went in there pretty well. I still have one concern, and it's on the next paragraph, is where it says the superintendent or designee shall incorporate the SEL into the district's educational program consistent with district's mission and the goals and benchmarks of the Illinois Learning Standards, period. The objectives of the Illinois Learning Standards include, I still would like to see that kind of out of there and put in the objectives for addressing the needs of students for social and emotional development through the educational programs R2, and then go with that.
So the final sentence in that paragraph, you're looking for that edit.
That edit. I mean, if
Do you want to read that one more time so the board can make sure
okay.
that they're okay with that edit? Because I'm fine with that edit.
You want me to read the whole thing?
Just the last sentence.
Where it said the objectives of the Illinois Learning Standards include, I would like that to be taken out and put in the objectives for addressing the needs of students for social and emotional development through the educational programs R2, and then you have the numbers 1, 2, and 3. And that's, I made the comment before, and I mean, if people are,
I have that from last week when you said that.
so I mean, that's just a concern that I am bringing forward. So I mean, if no one likes what I had put in there, which I got from other districts on some research, it's just that it's nothing that I made up,
right.
You know.
And there was extensive discussion about that, and I think
Yeah.
the policy committee was
So I just wanted to, other than that, everything else that we talked about was changed or kept it on there and so on, which I did like some of the wording that was changed, and so overall I can, you know, live with that. So, I mean, that's just the first part of this anyway, so going on to the...
Right, so the policy itself is a first reading, so I have that one sentence correction that we'll make, and then there was, after 1, 2, 3, you had another correction, we'll make that. So what other comments does the board have about the recommended policy revision?
I don't think we went over any policies. That down. Unless anybody else has comments.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think we had a great discussion at the policy committee because we had a different policy going into this. If you looked at the first draft of this, the community report, and then we had some great input from the board members, and we made some of those suggestions, and that's what you're seeing in front of you here. And so it sounds like we don't have more suggestions, so we'll get this out to the community as soon as we can this week. And let's talk about the rest of the report. Any other suggestions for the rest of the report? Well, if you guys give us the go-ahead with the rest of the report, I will get it out. We will communicate it.
Okay.
It will still be listed as a policy draft because you haven't officially approved the policy. It says in the text that we're recommending these policy changes, but they're not finalized
It's just
yet.
not listed as one of our actual actions, so I wasn't sure if we actually needed action on that or whether.
Oh, because it was a first reading, there probably doesn't need action. Yep.
Okay.
You were talking about this part.
The report itself.
The whole report?
Right.
I thought we had talked about,
I was just trying to figure out, John, the technicalities of, we can all give her consensus that we're fine with the report and it can be circulated, but we don't actually have to take a vote to approve Dr. Hitchens circulating it, and that's what I was just trying to clarify.
okay. I mean, I like the report, but I was just, I thought we talked about,
Policy.
The other big piece of it was
the part with all this, was that gonna go out?
yeah, I think it did.
It got taken out,
That got taken out?
Yeah, we
Okay,
condensed.
all right.
There was a
That's
lot
why I just wanted
of
to make sure.
information in there about the programming, very,
Because
a lot
we-
of details.
we
So
didn't
we gave a
continue- okay.
summary instead.
No,
That's
then
in the new
I'm
version.
fine, just, that's the only other thing I wanted to make sure on. Okay.
Right, so the one thing that we do need to vote for would be the second reading of policy
And
640.
adoption, right. So I would entertain a motion for second reading and adoption of policy 640, curriculum development and instructional resources.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Impastato, second by Stoops. Excuse me, would you call the roll? Yeah, Impastato and Stoops.
What I showed you.
Yes.
That was in this.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Second
Take it
reading and
above
adoption
roll
of
call.
640.
Oh, look at that.
They're doing,
Roll call approving policy 640.
they're doing the wellness one.
Okay, so are you going to call the roll?
I'm on this one. No, 640, 640.
Yes.
Just wait for
I
that.
know, you're going to be famous.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. That concludes all the work. We're going to move on to, oh, look at that. Comments. Any comments from administration tonight? Dr. Hitchens?
Yes, I am trying to get an updated score for girls basketball.
Can
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You guys just voted. Maybe it'll be up there.
I know, but they all were in second readings, were they?
No, the policy 650.
I know
was
this is
first
all
read-
new, so I'm just
Right.
trying to,
So look, policy 650 was first reading, which we did. We don't really need to approve that. We just do it. And then policy 665, first reading and the community report. And that's all we did was read it. And then Lisa's going to distribute the community report.
640 was second reading and adoption. That's what.
Yeah, we just voted on the second.
We just voted on the 640.
okay. I see all those up there and I'm thinking, okay.
Right.
First reading, okay.
So everything that you saw on your screen or the public sees if they're on the board docs right now, that recommended action that was there, that was posted last Friday, showed up on there.
And we did all that action, but we only had to vote on adopting the policy. Are you good?
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Hitchens, did you find an update? Girls basketball?
I know they were down by like 3 at the half, but the game didn't start till 8. So for my comments tonight, I just wanted to give a plug for the kindergarten preview because that is going to occur before the next board meeting. So it's important that if you know people who have kindergartners in the district, that you direct them to the website so that they can participate in our kindergarten preview.
I have an update.
You do have
46-37 Batavia after the third quarter.
Awesome.
That's a good
Great update, thank you.
Yay.
Go girls basketball.
Go
And then
girls
the last comment I wanted to make was on our calendar, just hopefully the weather cooperates now that the board did approve this year's calendar change with 4 extra days. So now it's on us not to have any more snow days. If we did, we would have to ask the board to readopt it with an additional snow day in it, but we were being optimistic and we have a lot of questions about the end of the school year, which is why we pushed it up to February, just to make sure people knew that this is our plan for today if the polar vortex cooperates.
And clarifying one other thing, am I correct in saying that we had an error, if you will, in next year's calendar regarding spring break, and that will be corrected, and we should probably try to let people know that?
That don't make your plans for the following school year until we officially approve the
Right.
calendar. We were going to look at a couple different things based on some feedback
But
from
were
some.
we going to vote on the spring break issue? I thought Brad just said we would be adjusting that.
That'll be one of the recommendations.
Recommendation,
Next
okay.
month.
Right.
Next month.
Yeah,
Okay.
next month.
I was thinking that was just an error that we were fixing, not up, but since we already voted and adopted, we actually have to correct it.
So the 14-15 school year calendar will be
Don't
bringing to
buy
everybody
plane
in
tickets
March
for anything next
for
year.
for some adjustments.
Yes. Okay, just want to clarify. I knew what was going on. All right, you know what, Tina, we're going to shake things up. We're going to start our comments with you. We're going to skip over John, and he can wind us up like always.
How about that? Sorry, John. I just want to say, and Kathy kind of said at the beginning, one of my favorite things is when we celebrate all the celebrations in the district, and I love
when we have visitors, and I love to hear all of the great things that are going on because we don't always get to hear the good things. And actually, we really don't get to hear the good things. So when we have the visitors, that's just my favorite part. So I know the kids are probably like, oh, I got to go to a board meeting, but we love to see them. I love to see them. So I thank them for coming. And I also always love feedback from the high school. So thank you guys for what you do. And I really love being a part of PLAC. And so thank you guys for coming here tonight, and CAC.
Thank you for staying with us at our meetings and providing another voice.
They really do. I know both committees do great work, and and Brad and Steve are a part of that. And I really enjoy being a part of that group. So thank you for all our visitors and for all the work you do.
Yeah, thanks all our visitors for your comments. We do listen to you, and I do appreciate them. And hopefully through this we can all educate one another on our purpose and keep our goal going forward. And I congratulate all the students on their achievements. Again, I enjoy hearing about that, and they're just wonderful accomplishments we've had there in the arts. And we had, obviously, we talked about some athletic accomplishments that you brought forth. So in many, many areas, these students are excelling in many ways. And then, again, you talked about the AP. It's almost the point where, how do you balance that all anymore? I mean, with you know, just everything you got to do. It's amazing. It's amazing what you do. I was really excited to hear about PLAC and CAC and the team building and collaborative effort that's being shown there from all the levels of the staff, and you know, all the support systems built in there. That's exciting. I have to admit, when it first came to me, I was like, huh? You know, because well, yeah, you know, and learning is changing and ever changing, and we have to keep that in mind. And with that, if we expect our children, our students to continually grow, we should also support them with staff that's going to grow with them, and that falls in line with our mission statement: always learning, always growing. So, I think it's a great endeavor, and what's exciting is to see already data and results from that. I mean, I didn't expect it to, you know, I didn't know how long of an impact it would take, but it is really exciting, and thank you again for all the work you do there. I look forward to see it just growing progress. Like you said, I think today in the meeting, the ultimate goal is everybody's coaching everybody, and you really won't have coaches because everybody's, you know, it's a big team effort, and everybody's, you know, building and pushing each other and making everybody better, and that's the ultimate goal, and I think we will achieve that. So thank you again for all your efforts. That's exciting. And that's it.
Thanks. Sue. I'm going to keep it kind of short. John's going to say part of what I wanted to say. Like part of what everybody wanted to say. That's okay. I was fortunate enough to attend the Rotolo Middle School art show that was at Limestone Cafe. First of all, the art was wonderful. It always, I mean, the art we saw, it always blows me away what some of these kids can do, and I mean, artists in general, because I can't draw a stick figure to save a soul. So it was wonderful, and it really brought home to me the partnership that the school, Batavia, has with the community and the schools. And I wanted to thank Limestone Cafe and all the other businesses and everything in the community here. We work so well together. And this week, all the elementary schools are having their fun fairs. And I know I've been out there. I know a lot of parents have been out there with their hands out asking for donations. And I know a lot of other things. What's the gala, the Music Buffs Gala, and Post Prom is coming up. So just, I cannot thank the businesses enough for what they do for the schools. And just for this cafe to have the school come in, put up their artwork, and there was one woman working behind the cafe, and I don't think they anticipated. Brad was there. You saw how crowded it was, and she was just making coffee one little cup at a time, and you know, it was wonderful to see the outpouring of support for community business and the students, and it was just a great time. So I wanted to thank the teachers, the students, and the parents just for coming. It was great. The other thing I wanted to touch upon was also what Greg said about the instructional coaches. I wanted to thank Dr. Newkirk for maybe explaining a little bit better what instructional coaches are. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there on behalf of the public, not quite understanding what these are and what the need might be for it. And so I had to laugh when I saw your last page of all that qualitative data, because I've always joked with Tony, it really doesn't, I'm more a quantitative data girl, and you really blew me away with the quantitative data. But that's what I'd like to see, and so that's great. So I'm glad we got some information out there for the public, so hopefully they might see the need when we're asking for more
value.
And the value.
of it, right.
You know, and I'm glad it's going to be up there for people to read now. So when we're asking for more instructional coaches, they might understand why we need it now. So that was it.
Thanks, Sue. Jason.
I just want to kind of build off on what Sue was saying with the community outpouring and such. I was really overwhelmed with 3 different events that I did over the last month related to schools. One was the Hoover Wood Night at Pal Joey's. Even though my children don't go there, my children and I attended the evening because I didn't have to cook. But the place was packed, and everyone was having a great time, and it was great to see, you know, not only that school, but the rest of our community come together to embrace, you know, a local business as well as a fundraising opportunity.
Great.
The other one was today I attended HC Storm's Kids Club program, which was really, it opened my mind and eyes too. I thought it was like a bunch of kids in a gymnasium throwing kickballs around, and it's 17 different classrooms with many different levels of interactions, from computers to acting to, you know, making bracelets in a loom and cooking crepes in the kitchen, and it was just really great to see something like that. You know, my congratulations to the improv troupe and the music and art departments, of course. If Dominic ever decides to open a improv troupe for like some of the other older adults, I would be the first one to sign up because I love that kind of stuff. I'm definitely in support of a sign language class to be at the high school. It's something that's close to my heart, so I love hearing that the students embrace that as well. I think that's a language that not only translates into a communicative type approach, but it's also very expressive, and it could contribute a lot to our arts and theater programs as well. And then lastly, I'm pleased to announce that we kicked off the Watchdog program at JB Nelson. I'm the top dog for that program, and I was again blown away. I was expecting maybe 40 people total tops, and we had like almost 65 come for our launch night. We blew the calendar out and had to open it up to twice a week for the rest of the year, and we're almost full. And I've been hearing great stuff, getting emails, and I'm really impressed and in awe of the dads that we got, my great dads at JB Nelson. So got a great pack out there, so woof out to all of them. And that's it.
Thanks, Jason. Melanie.
I'll be quick, I promise. I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Newkirk and the teachers on the great presentation on CAC and PLAC, because I've been hearing about CAC and PLAC, and I've been hearing about coaches, and I didn't quite understand it. I know a little bit about professional responsibility as somebody who has to take 30 hours of continuing legal education every year. I understand the need for it. I thought that was a great presentation. I hope our other stakeholders take the opportunity to look at it, because I do think there's a bunch of misinformation that once you graduate and you get your teacher's license that you're all done, and that's not true. But I also think that the empirical data out there shows that this is a wonderful program, and I'm so glad that the teachers are embracing it, because I do think it is. I wish that we had something more like that, because I just sit in a bunch of very boring seminars and just try to calculate how many more hours I have to do till I can legally sign my piece of paper. So kudos to all of you who are working so hard on it and making such great strides with it. That's a wonderful program. And I just wanted to say that I hope everybody goes out and supports all the elementary schools fun fairs on Friday, and They are the biggest fundraiser for most of the elementary schools I know, so I know I will be working both shifts of the Grace McWayne, and I hope that Lisa Cruz gives me a good job. So, and that I hope the Impostado children aren't running haywire all through Grace McWayne. So, I also attended a very fun student council run dance last week where Mr. Modaff was a great DJ. So, kudos to Grace McWayne Student Council for a great dance. And we also had a movie night this week. It's been a busy every Friday night at Grace McWayne this month. It's been quite busy. So thank you to the Student Council and the PTO at Grace McWayne for the great things that they've been doing this month and keeping the Grace McWayne students busy in this, from getting too much cabin fever in this very cold winter. And go Lady Bulldogs.
Yay. Thanks, Melanie. Jen?
Me?
Yes, you sure.
Everything they said. Again, I had a chance to stop by Limestone also, and I go there for coffee in the morning, and I got to see it without a big crowd. And the artwork was wonderful, but I went back later that night and saw it. Anytime you get the kids into the fine arts or any type of exploratory, you can really see what they can achieve and do. I mean, it's a great avenue. Thanks to all the celebrants and to all the comments and the visitors that were at finance and policy last week. It's always good that you show up and give us your feedback. I think they had a nice turnout for the fundraiser for Chip-In last week. I was a driver. Kathy helped out too. Tina, I think, on Wednesday. And so that was, and there's another fundraiser coming up in March for them.
14th.
The 14th. Speaking of the food thing, if any of the schools out there, I know Greg has talked about it because Greg's always looking for meals to go out to. Because I emailed him, I said, hey, tell Joey's, I said, Chick-fil-A yesterday. I said something else because I don't know if he gets it, so I've been trying to forward him the emails that he gets them, so he does have to do the cooking. My wife and I are going to attend the music gala this week to listen to the fine performers. We're looking forward to that. I stopped by, saw Jason over at the HE store. Melanie was there for the enrichment program, and is a wonderful, those volunteers of the parents and all that, and all the kids that were involved. Congratulations to the winter athletes and also the Lady Bulldogs, as you mentioned, winning the 4A regional game last week and then playing tonight, so hopefully they...
You're tied right now.
Okay.
That's not a good update. Ooh.
I attended, as Amy had said, the equitable school funding and pension situation that was from a nonpartisan group, Center for Tax and Budget Accountability, that was put on by the IEA with Sue, Lisa, Tony, Amy, other reps from also Geneva, West Aurora, Yorkville, and so on. And it was very informative where we stand as a state and how we get money, where it mostly comes from. And it's mind-boggling. As I always say, thank you to the people at RJAC for all the work you guys do, and putting all this stuff together and answering our questions and having the time for us to come in and get clarification and so on, because I know you guys all have busy schedules. Hooverwood has their fun fair. I wanted to make sure of that. I'm going to go visit their school tomorrow. I don't know if Lou's going to ever get tired of seeing me there, but I do show up there. I don't go unannounced. I always let him know.
He's looking at us.
So he can always lock the door or something. But I'm going to spend a day with the SEAL program, and then I'm going to spend time with the fourth grade class with their iPads and their Chromebooks. So see how that technology is working out. But I also wanted to congratulate, and I don't know this person, Mary Ellen Atkins, but I do know Mr. Matthew Holm, because my daughter had him twice, for being selected as representatives for the upcoming Kane County Educator of the Year Awards in May. We have a lot of great staff in the district, and it's an honor to make sure that we acknowledge them whenever possible. So if any of you know them personally or had them, or get the students to write letters on their behalf to help support it for that great cause, because it's a good thing. And finally, I want to send my best of luck to everyone for the upcoming ISAT test in March, and the pilot test and the park testing, so hopefully that goes smoothly. So, thank you.
Thanks, John. I don't think there is a thing that I could add to my very eloquent and thoughtful fellow board members. So with that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.